Welcome to the International Study Group for CBAP. Today is the 16th of May. We're going to open up with the difference between requirements and designs. This is a document I put together so that we could have it as a resource, but we've never really walked through it, and I want to be sure you have this information. Both requirements and designs are important, and they're used sometimes interchangeably, but we'll get into that. Let me just start reading. Requirements define the need and the desired outcomes. Designs define how specific solutions will fulfill those requirements. Both are considered business analysis information and are managed through the requirements lifecycle, but they exist for different reasons and change at different rates. So requirements describe what is needed. That's their definition. Designs describe how the requirements will be realized. They're related but not totally interchangeable, and they must be managed independently throughout the life cycle. A requirement is defined in the BABOK as a usable representation of a need. They focus on the needs and the outcomes and the capabilities rather than implementation. They describe what must be achieved. They're independent of the solution. They can exist at multiple levels, and they're a basis for value delivery. So you already know that there's three levels of requirements. There's the business requirements, which is high-level goals and objectives, such as reduce customer onboarding time by 30%. There's stakeholder requirements. The needs of a specific stakeholder group, like customer service agents, need visibility and application status. And then there's solution requirements that are divided into the functional and non-functional. Functional is what it does, what the solution does, and non-functional and quality attributes is how well does it do it? It does it how fast, does it how tall, it does it how what color. Those are non-functional. So the requirements answer what problem are we solving and what outcomes are required. Do you have any questions on requirements? You good with
No.
that?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on into designs. Designs definition are a usable representation of a solution. They describe how the requirements will be satisfied by a specific solution. They focus on structure, behavior, and interaction. They're solution specific. They evolve from abstract to detailed, and they can change even when requirements remain stable. So the requirement may say customer service must have access to this, but the design is it's going to be on this screen or it's going to be from this system. That can always change while the requirement stays the same. Babok recognizes two primary levels of designs. You've got your conceptual designs, which are your high level, which example, introduce self-service digital onboarding channel, and then your logical designs. And they're detailed, but they're technically agnostic, which means we don't tell them you're going to implement this in SharePoint. You're going to give us a database. They get to design that. An example of that is users submit documents through an online form with validation rules. We don't tell them how they will submit it. We just tell them they will do this. The physical design is typically outside the BA scope, though it may be included depending on context. If the physical design is something that we come up with in a requirements gathering session, we're going to go ahead and document that. It may be a document that the developer will take over, or the technical architect will take over, but we're going to document it. And if it needs to be in our requirements for clarity, we will put it there. So designs answer how does the solution satisfy the requirement? Um, I think I'll let y'all read the rest of this on your own. But I tried to do a comparison. I gave you exam trap information. I think the rest of this you can read on your own. Are you good with this?
Yes.
Okay, I hope it will be helpful. Okay, welcome, Amal, and let's get started. Okay, so let's start with our questions. We're staying on chapter 6 uh, because we need to get better scores in chapter 6 before we move on. I'm glad you had a good meeting with Kasi whenever he was here. So, just a reminder, chapter 6 has the four tasks in it: analyze current state, define future state, assess risks, and define change strategies. So, let's get started. Gracie owns a small office building. She recently changed cleaning services to reduce expenses. During the first week at the new office, she discovered that the change resulted in a change in the frequency of cleaning the bathrooms, as well as a change in the way the tenants handled their trash. Since making the change, Gracie has received more complaints about the new cleaning service than she had in the prior 3 months total. What techniques might have helped Gracie with this change? So, should she have performed a SWOT analysis and created a scorecard, developing business goals and objectives, identifying what would make the future state acceptable and creating a business case, or identifying what would make the future state acceptable and then assessing the potential value offered by the vendors in relationship to that criteria? I need to go grab some water. I'll let y'all look at this while I do that. You're welcome to talk about it if you want.
Anyone would like to discuss?
But I don't think it's A or B. I will go with C or D. I believe that D for Denmark is the one that gets the better answer. Identifying the future state, avoiding the complaints, and then assessing the value offered by vendors in order to reduce the expenses.
Thank you, Jose. Like, can you quickly say why not A, why not B?
SWOT analysis is kind of like a high level analysis on the strengths, weaknesses about the organization and any factors, any external factors of the organization. The business goals and objectives, I believe that are already defined. It's to reduce expenses and avoid those complaints.
That's true. So we can eliminate A and B, correct?
Yes.
So what do we think is the correct answer?
D for Denmark.
I appreciate you giving me the phonetic with that. You're correct. This is another way of saying acceptable and evaluation criteria. I'm sorry, acceptance and evaluation criteria and vendor assessment, both of which would have been valuable techniques. So what would have been helpful to her is if she had said, what do each of the vendors do and how does that fit what I need? Right? Gabrielle, do you have any comments on this one?
Yes, in the before a change, you should have a benefits card, what gives you a possible benefit, and on the other hand, what can uh, go worst,
Mhm.
and then you can make some measures so that you pre uh, can take precautions two changes you don't want to have, like that the trash is not handled properly and the frequency of cleaning is not appropriate. So you can tell the people what you want to have, what is
Right.
critical for you.
Exactly. You need to have your success criteria. What does done
Yes,
look like? How are we going to measure success identified before you make your change? So that while you're making your decision about your change, right?
yes.
Very good. Let's move on. Jamie is working on a mobile banking initiative to allow customers to perform all deposit and withdrawal functions using a mobile phone. He is familiarizing himself with the organization structure in order to better understand the current state environment. So we know that he is working on analyze current state. What will reviewing the organization structure tell him? So this is what he's looking at. It will give him insight into the capabilities of the organization. It will help him calculate the number of communication channels in the organization as input into his communication strategy. It will tell him how many audiences he has to consider when scheduling requirements workshops. Or it will reflect the formal relationships between people working in the enterprise. Let me give you just a few seconds to look through that, and we'll come back and identify what we're going to eliminate. Okay. So can somebody first tell me what is it we call organization structure? What is that document we refer to?
Uh, I have it on the tip of my tongue. It's the org. Come on.
I think you got it. It's the org chart, right?
Org chart. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the org chart. And unfortunately, it's not always kept up to date, but it's the org chart. That's what we ask for whenever we start with a new company or if we start a project with an organization that we're not familiar with. We need the org chart so we know who is in there. And that's going to give us some information. So what is it going to give us? Which one can we eliminate?
A for Alabama.
Right. This does not tell us the capabilities. It just tells us names, who's in what role, right? And who reports to whom. What do we think is the right answer?
D for Denmark.
Tell me why you like D for Denmark.
It will kind of like identify the hierarchy within the company, help us understand who are the stakeholders who will help us on different times and types of projects that we are working on.
I like your logic. Gabrielle, what do you think?
The relationships, I think it's on only the formal relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So
Is that what the org structure tells us?
responsibilities.
So do you feel like D is the right answer?
Yes.
Okay, let's test it. This is the definition of the organizational structure in the BABOK. Good job, folks. Amal, you're welcome to jump back in anytime. I appreciate you being here. Which of the following will not occur in strategy analysis? So in this entire knowledge area, which one will not occur? 3 will, 1 will not. Determine the business architecture. Determine the solution scope. Document risk analysis results and perform a gap analysis. So let's just start at the top. Do we determine the business architecture in strategy analysis?
Business architecture. Yes, on define the future state, we need to understand what and how we are gonna solve the issue.
Okay. Do we determine the solution scope in this knowledge area?
Solution scope. Yes, we do.
And that comes in define change strategy. It's one of those elements, right?
Yes.
How about document risk analysis results? Do we do that?
Yes, we do. Also on the change strategy.
Okay. And perform gap analysis. Do we do that?
That's the one I will choose as not doing. I believe that gap analysis is done way before. But we can also do a gap analysis when comparing the current state with the future state.
Mhm.
Um, uh, I would say the gap
Okay.
analysis is done in the strategy analysis because the gap is the thing you have to fill with the strategy.
Gap analysis is one of the elements in define change strategy. So one of these is not in strategy analysis. Which one do we think it is?
Determine the business architecture.
Yes, the one that is not. Yeah.
Business architecture is defined as a perspective in the BABOK. It's not defined in this particular knowledge area. Very good, guys. I would like to say that this is really a challenging question because as we look at current state and we look at future state, business architecture could be included in that, but it's not mandatory. Business architecture is that super high, what's the value proposition? What's the value stream? It's super high above all the processes. You might not ever dip into that, but it's not a bad thing to look at occasionally. You got to learn a whole new vocabulary for that one, though. Which of the following is an output of the defined change strategy task? So we know which task it is. There's a finite number of outputs. So defined change strategy, is it alternatives analysis, potential value, risk analysis results, or solution scope? So is it alternatives analysis?
Alternative analysis. I don't remember seeing this term.
I don't think you have. I think we should eliminate it. Is potential value one of the outputs of defined change strategy?
It's one of the outputs of the entire strategy analysis, but not from the change strategy.
Okay. How about risk analysis results? Is that one of the outputs of defined change strategy?
No, it's from the risk assessment.
Okay. How about solution scope?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Gabrielle, do you agree?
This one I had excluded.
Okay. So defined change strategy's purpose is to develop and assess alternative approaches to the change and then select the recommended approach. It's got two different outputs. If you had excluded this one, which one did you think was the correct answer?
Change the strategy itself.
Change strategy is one of its outputs, but there's another one that is on this list. I've got
It's,
one vote for D. Go ahead, Gabrielle.
I would say it's more the A or the B.
Okay. Let me check D and then we'll check A and B. So the output of defined change strategy is there's two of them. One is solution scope and one is change strategy. So alternatives analysis is an activity within the decision analysis techniques and may have been completed to support solution scope. And B, this is an intuitive and logical response, but the BABOK associates this output to the defined future state task. That's whenever you get your potential value. It's not an output of the defined future state task, though.
Sorry, Tia, can you choose back again A? I just want to get the chapter.
Yes, that's
Thanks.
chapter 10 is where all the techniques are. And it's going to be the 16th task. Decision analysis, maybe? Okay. Let's move forward. Which document provides stakeholders with an understanding of what new capabilities will be delivered in the change initiative? So we're looking at a document, and this is what it does, or its definition. Is this the project vision, the solution approach, the solution scope, or the solution option? Let me give you a second to think about that. Okay, which one should we eliminate?
Does approach more sound like how instead of what?
Kind of does, doesn't it? We want the understanding, which would be the what. So what do we think is the correct answer?
So then eliminate B because it is more like how. As if you're searching for what, then let's eliminate how.
The project vision seems like too much high level.
So vision is not providing what.
Yeah, the solution scope.
Yes.
Okay. The solution scope is correct. It defines the boundaries of the solution and is described in enough detail to enable stakeholders to understand which new capabilities the change will deliver. Project vision describes the business need and the long-term direction of the project. This usually comes at the very beginning. Vision and the charter are sometimes the same document or sometimes partnered. But the solution scope is what gives us the understanding of the new capabilities that will be delivered. This is generally created here in this chapter of after you've gotten your current state and your future state. It's like, okay, so this is what future state is going to really hold for us. An organization seeks to increase employee satisfaction within the next year. What is this an example of? So if you saw somebody that said we are going to increase our employee satisfaction within the next year as a company, is that a business requirement a business goal, a potential value, or a business objective? Remember Babok's definitions on these. Which one can you eliminate?
Requirement eliminate.
Okay. And what do we think is the right answer?
Business objective.
Okay, I've got one vote for D. Who else wants to weigh in?
I see it as bonded, so it is a smart. That's what I remember from last session.
Okay. Gabrielle, what do you think?
It's objective because it's thought with time, and business goal would that's not the one.
Okay.
Objective, yes.
Okay. Amarachi, do you have an opinion?
I would say business objective.
Okay, let's test business objective. So remember that Babok does this kind of in reverse to the way we think about it. A business objective requires it to be fully smart. You were right, that is time bounded, but it doesn't say how much. It's not increase employee satisfaction from its current state to 32%, or it doesn't give us enough to be an objective. This is a business goal because it's a statement or a state of or condition that the organization is seeking to establish and maintain. Goals in the Babok are high level, and then objectives fall below that when they're more granular and they've got all the details. They're testable. It tells you how much, what kind, when it's going to happen. It's got everything that can be testable in it. So just remember, objectives are testable, goals are high level. All right. This is one of those things, it's like, that's not the way I think about it in the real world. That's the way the Babok thinks about it. You got to understand that. It's just like if you were to go into a brand new company and they have different definitions, you just learn their terminology. Functional decomposition can be used by BA to analyze which type of scope. So we're talking about it whenever we're applying it to scope. Is this organizational scope, process scope, product scope, or project scope? Which one can we eliminate?
Organizational scope.
Okay. And why should we eliminate that one, Gabrielle?
It could be project, product scope.
Project or product? Okay.
So I would say the product scope
Okay.
is the correct one.
I've
Because
got
the
one vote.
decomposition, it's on the functional requirements.
Okay. So if it's on the functional requirements, that's going to be in the project, right?
Yeah, I'm in between product or project. I believe project will be the better answer. But
Okay.
I can also understand why product would also be.
Yeah. It seems very attractive, doesn't it?
Yep.
Anybody else want to
Yes.
weigh in? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gabrielle.
I'm not sure between product and project scope, but maybe it's the project scope.
Okay, let's test it and we'll find out. We'll test both answers. Okay.
Oh,
So a BA can use functional decomposition to help break down the product or solution scope. Functional decomposition can help break down the project scope, but that would be a project management activity. Whenever they ask the same question and they say that they're working with a project manager to use functional decomposition, it's going to be project. Otherwise, it's going to be product. Check out the 20-second technique in chapter 10 to get more information on functional decomposition. You're going to see work breakdown structure there. You're going to see a few things. Okay. Mary is a business analyst who has collaborated with stakeholders and successfully identified the primary root cause related to the business need. To fix the problem, she and her team have generated several alternative solutions, including the forecasted financial costs and benefits associated with each option. However, the decision makers are still not sold. What might be missing from Mary's presentation? The root cause, so the alternative solutions are lacking context, the costs and benefits associated with doing nothing, the business needs so that they know what problem they are trying to solve, or the net present value and the internal rate of return. Which one do we think is missing? Anything?
I'm between A for Alabama and C for Canada. No.
Okay.
The A for Alabama and B for Baltimore.
Okay. So these are what you think might be missing?
Yes.
Okay.
I will go with B for Baltimore, including financial costs. Each option. But does it also means that they have the
It
costs and benefits for not doing anything?
it doesn't say that at all, does it?
Yeah, so that's why I'll go
Okay.
with that one.
Okay, I've got one vote for B. Amarachi, Gabrielle, what do y'all think?
So B is missing. Maybe also the business need. So they,
Well, she's identified it, the primary root cause of the business related to the business need.
okay.
I think I would go for B.
Okay, we got several votes for
Oh,
B. Let's
B.
test it.
Okay.
The status quo is always considered as an option and presented along with other solution alternatives. The costs associated with doing nothing might spur action. When it talks about the costs, it's not just talking about the monetary costs. It's also talking about the repercussions. If we allow this critical system that all these things rely on to go out of service and it breaks down, what are we going to do? I mean, the costs can be impact to reputation. It can be measured in customer churn. It can be measured in regulatory penalties. That sometimes penalties are nothing more than we will audit you on a monthly basis instead of a quarterly basis. That's money when they're not charging you money, but it will cost you money because your people will have to stop their jobs to take care of the audit. So the cost can be more than just money. Good job, guys. Sonia is formulating a proposed change approach for her bank, which wants to enable customers to apply for new accounts using a website. The bank currently has limited web functionality and only permits new accounts to be opened at a branch. She is deciding which factors to include in her analysis. Which of the following should Sonia consider? You got to really pay attention to this question. Risk involved with allowing the new account applications through their website is the first consideration that they propose. Knowledge and skills of developers who could build the new web pages. Business rules that apply to the opening of the new accounts. Alternative strategies for delivering the needed capabilities. Which one could we eliminate? One answer is going to be better than the others.
I will go with A for Alabama on the final answer for this one.
Okay. Amarachi, Gabrielle?
I think it's more something to enable the new customers on the website. So the knowledge and skills of developers.
Tell me why you like that answer better.
And the alternative strategies for delivering the needed capabilities. This one. The alternatives.
Gabriel, what if this solution is going to be provided by a vendor? We don't know who's going to provide the solution. Do we know?
No, we don't know. But she's still doing an analysis. And we do know the current state is limited web functionality. There's got to be a reason for that, right?
How about C? The business rules that apply to the opening of new accounts.
Okay. So you're all answering with good thoughtfulness, but I'm going to show you this answer so you can see it. So whenever you're performing the gap analysis, you got to consider the knowledge and skills as a capability to see what do you currently have on staff. The limited web functionality in the current state suggests they may lack skills required for the future state. And that's why this one is the best answer. I agree that you do have to consider business rules, but because they have limited web functionality, there's a reason for that. And that's their limiting factor. The bank wants to enable customers to apply for new accounts on the website. So that means that they already have business rules in place, but they just don't have the ability to provide that functionality yet with the skills that they have in place. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. This is one of those questions that it's like, at first it's like that doesn't seem right, but whenever you really dive into it, it makes a lot of sense, and it helped me on the test. I saw something very similar to this on the test. Okay, let's move forward. According to the Babok, what is a business analyst? The process I'm sorry, what is business analysis? The process of eliciting, documenting, and managing requirements throughout the life cycle of a project, a collection of pre-project and early project activities and approaches for capturing the necessary view of the business to provide context to requirements and functional design work for a given initiative and or for long-term planning. The practice of enabling change in an enterprise by defining needs and recommending solutions that deliver value to stakeholders, or a set of stakeholder needs that are elicited, analyzed, structured, and specified for use in the design or implementation of a solution. Which one of those is business analysis?
C for Canada.
C.
Okay, Gabrielle, what do you think?
C or B, but more the C.
Okay. This is correct. Business analysis enables an enterprise to articulate the needs and rationale for a change and to design and describe solutions that can deliver value. The reason B was not the correct answer. This is too definitive and refers mainly to strategy analysis. This is talking about how do we get to the project. Business analysis is not always performed within the context of a project. Sometimes we just identify that there's a need. How many of y'all have come to your business and say, we need to fix this? This needs to be put on the proposed project list. Here's what I'm seeing. Have you ever done that? Yeah? And Mala's done it. So
Yeah.
you've done it, Amarachi, good. Figuring out who to go to is sometimes your biggest hurdle. It's like, okay, I see this is a problem. I see how it's hurting the company. I see how it's demoralizing people, but I don't know who to talk to about it. Figure that out before you have that situation. So that whenever you do have that situation, and you will, because you're an observant business analyst, you will have that situation. And you need to know who to talk to. It might not be a bad idea to go ahead and have conversations with them and say, if I see something that I think might need some attention, how do I go about bringing that to your attention? Or who do I go to? Or, what's the process? Okay, next. Julie is a BA working to help business owners clarify the business need. The business owner wants to undertake an initiative to eliminate waste throughout her division. She says that such an initiative, which will be comprised of multiple projects, will have benefits of improved safety, reduced time to deliver the organization's product, and increased customer satisfaction. The listed benefits are another way to articulate which of the following. So this is what she wants. Here's the benefits of this. This is the thing we're asking. These are listed benefits. Does this articulate business objectives, future state description, the business opportunity, or desired outcomes? What can we eliminate off this list?
Eliminate business objectives because they need to be smart, and this is more like the
I
benefits.
agree.
Very good. So we're going to eliminate business objectives. So what is the correct answer?
I am between B for Baltimore and D for Denmark, but I would consider Denmark as the better answer.
Okay. Gabrielle and Marachi, what do you think is the best answer?
I think I would go for D because
D
this
is
is the
in,
business owner stating their, like what I say, their expectations from the initiative or what they look to achieve from the initiative. So yeah.
okay. So you like D as well?
Yes,
Okay.
D.
And Gabrielle, what do you think is the best answer?
Would be business objectives.
Okay. So do these qualify as
Objectives not, because objectives are smart.
right. So what do you think is the right answer?
Desired outcomes.
Okay, let's test it. You are all three correct. Good job. The benefits referred to in the question are examples of its desired outcomes. While the BABOK typically focuses on the goals and objectives, it does use this term in the description of how business cases are used in defined future state tasks. Very good, guys. Okay, this one is lovely. It's a SIPOC diagram. Ashish is working on a project for XYZ Insurance to enable video submission of auto accident claims. He is specifying the conditions required to meet the business need for the effort. Ashish created the following diagram to help him understand the new process. So there are people that use SIPOC diagrams with great religious fervor, and they love it, and it's very powerful. So SIPOC, and this one is to submit a video claim is the name of it. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit so you can see that you're seeing it all. So in this SIPOC, you've got your supplier, who is the insured party. The input is the claim details and video clip, and then it goes into the process. So the process is down here, the process to submit video claim. First step is record the video. Next step is open XYZ claim in app. The next step, enter claim details. Then you attach the video. Then you send the claim. And the output of that is you have a new claim and there's a claim receipt. The customer is going to be the claims adjuster and the insured party. So here's your SIPOC. We've got several questions on this one. I'll come back up to this anytime you need me to. What activity is Ashish performing? Is he defining the value chain for the process? Is he creating a SIPOC modeling the process, defining the future state for the process, or modeling requirements for the process? Which one is the correct answer?
SIPOC modeling.
Okay, one vote for B.
Please, can you scroll up just so that I can read the question? Okay.
Do you want to see the question or the SIPOC?
Yeah, the question, not the SIPOC.
Okay.
It can also be.
I think I'll go for B.
It can also be a value chain for the process, identifying who official state or process modeling requirements. Yeah, it's either A or B.
Okay.
We creating a SIPOC model, but he is doing that SIPOC model to understand the entire process as well.
This one is activity the one had already done for Ashish. And Ashish can use the SIPOC modeling.
Okay. So, Gabrielle, what do you think is the correct answer?
Modeling the requirements for the process.
Did you say modeling requirements for the process? I couldn't understand you, Gabrielle. Can you say it again, please?
So the cyborg is done because he in the description of what he's doing, there is standing Ashish created the following diagram to help him understand the new process.
Yes. So which
So,
answer do you think is correct?
so cyborg is already done, and
Okay.
maybe it's also defining a value chain
I would
for the
say yes.
process or the modeling of the
Yes. He is
requirement.
Yeah, I agree. He's creating the diagram, the SIPOC diagram, but he's actually defining the value chain, what happens on each and every stage.
Let's test it.
No.
Okay, so you were right. He is defining something, but it's not the value chain. That's a broader view. Remember, that's at the super high level. He's down at the step level. Whenever he's talking about what step to do, this is future state for the process. He's specifying the conditions required to meet the business need, which is defining future state. You understand why this is the best answer? So he used the SIPOC to define the future state, to say these are the steps we're going to take. Value chain is way up at the gain revenue, gain customers, reduce risk. That's what value chain is going to have in it.
Okay, enterprise level, process level, task level.
Yes.
Okay, we are on the process
Yes.
level. Okay. Okay.
Okay, let's go to the next question on the same scenario. Which component is Ashish missing from his SIPOC diagram? So I can't show you all of it. I can show you most of it there. Let me see if I can scoot up just a smidge. There you go. Now you can see it all. Is he missing an input for the vehicle involved in the accident? Is that even needed? All of these, is that even needed? Okay. An output for the attached video, the process step for providing the claim receipt, or the customer representing the claims database. So first of all, let's start with this one. Wow, that's not what I want to do. Do we need a process step for providing the claim receipt? We've got a output new claim and claim receipt. Do we need a process step for that?
No, I don't think we need.
Do we need an output of the attached video?
No.
We have attached video. Do we need an output up there that says the video's attached?
No.
Do we need an input for the vehicle involved in the accident?
We already have it on the claim details.
Okay. And the last one is, do we need a customer representing the claims database? Should that be over here?
Claims database.
I think the process for providing the claim receipt is missing.
So you think C is the best answer, Amarachi?
Yeah,
Can you tell us why?
as part of the output listed in the diagram is the claim receipt, but we can see that there is no process on how to do that. It just stops that sending the claim to, but there is no, which is just one of the outputs, like which is just the new claim, but it doesn't tell us how to get the receipt, which is what is missing.
Good reasoning. Jose, Gabrielle, what do y'all think?
I don't understand the question here.
So
Don't
there's
understand the
something
option.
missing.
So is this what he's missing, what he has drawn in the SciPoc, or is there in the SciPoc something missing?
Something is missing in the SciPoc. There's a component missing.
I can't identify.
Okay.
What would you have added or even removed from this?
Let's go ahead and test this, and we'll figure out what the best answer is by the results. So since there's an output for the claim receipt, there should be a step for creating the claim receipt here in the SciPoc in the steps. So you start with the claim details in the video clip, and you go through all these steps, and at the end you come out with a new claim and a claim receipt, but you don't have anything in here that says generate claim receipt. So you start with what are your inputs, here's the steps, and what is your output, and are all of your outputs represented properly in the process? This is the way you balance, do I have everything in the process documented? Does that make sense?
Details, new claim. Cool. Providing the claim receipt. Open presenting account details. Okay. Okay. I
All
thought
right.
that the claims receipt was already involved on the enter claim details.
Well, that would be the customer entering claim details or the agent entering claim details, but there's no way for them to generate a claim receipt. Let's move on to the next question on the same scenario. During a peer review of the SciPoc, a colleague of Ashish's commented that one of the process steps was unneeded in the diagram. Was he correct? And if so, which one is unneeded? So let me push this up so you can see all the steps in the process. So this is what we're looking at. It's just the process, not the rest of it. Enter claim details because the details are an input into the process. So he's saying this should be up as an input instead of in the process. Open XYZ claim because it can be assumed to be a precondition of the process. So this should not even be in here at all. Record video because it can be assumed to be a precondition of the process. Are you going to open the claim application if you don't have the video? Or the colleague is not correct. All steps are needed.
The correct answer will be A for Alabama.
Okay. Any other answers? I want to acknowledge this is not an easy one.
This one is correct, the A, because it's in the input from the Greta from the it's in the CBAP overview and in the detailed process.
It seems like it would be correct, but it would be a necessary part of the process. You've got, whenever you have the video and you've opened the app doesn't have any of the claim details in it. So you got to actually put the claim details into the app at that point. But recording the video is something you would probably do because it, as an input, the video clip is going to be done before you even open the app. So whenever someone says, I'm going to submit a video claim, they've already have the video that they're going to submit. They don't take the video after they open the app. Does that make sense?
Okay.
This isn't my
Yes,
favorite
it
question.
does.
Okay, good. All right, next question. Financial resources, patents, reputation, and brand names are all examples of which of the following elements? So this is what we're looking at. Are these capabilities, business architecture, internal assets, or macroeconomic factors? What can we eliminate?
Macroeconomic factors.
Okay. Why are we eliminating that one, Gabrielle?
Because the financial resources are internal assets.
And macroeconomic factors are external, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what is the best answer, guys?
Internal assets.
Amarachi, do you agree?
You're trying to see.
Gabrielle, do you like C best?
Reputation seems to me to be something external.
Let me ask you this. Where is it held? Is it held internally or is it held externally? It does affect external, but is it held externally?
Yeah, that's a good way to explain it. I think it's held internally, but it is viewed externally.
Right. Let's test C. The BABOK also calls these enterprise assets. So it's what the company holds that is not necessarily, I mean, you think the company has $3 billion in assets or something, but they also have what do people think of them and which patents do they hold and are they known as a company that takes care of its employees or a company that takes care of its customers? Brand names, super, super important. Let me give you an example of this. Internal assets there was a company that whenever the wildfires started in California about a year ago, within hours of the time the wildfires were raging and burning people's houses down, they canceled all of their policies in California. They just said, we're not going to honor them. So all of those people that had been paying for years for their homeowners insurance suddenly had no way to rebuild their homes. And they got the news while their homes were burning, while they were trying to get their dogs out. Think about the reputation of that company. They hurt themselves so badly by their reputation by doing that thing. They hurt their reputation so badly. So that now that if you live in, say, a totally different state, are you going to say, yeah, I want to invest in trusting your company to take care of my home because I saw what you did in California? They've hurt their internal assets or their enterprise assets so horribly by making that decision that it saved their bottom line, but it didn't save their company. Which of the following statements best describes the role of domain SME in defining change strategy. So this is who we're trying to work with, and this is the task we're in. Remember, roles have specific responsibilities based upon the task. So in this task, the domain SME, do they develop the financial analysis for strategy selection? Ensure the change will function within acceptable parameters? Ensure adherence to various regulations? Or authorizes and ensures funding for solution delivery? Which one can we eliminate? What do we think of this one? Who does this job?
The sponsor.
This is a sponsor's job, not a domain SME. Who does this job?
Yes. It can be a domain SME, but I believe it's more like a regulator.
Who does this job?
Either a domain SME or someone from the development team, the developers.
Okay, so this is a possibility. And who does this job?
The domain subject matter expert.
Okay. So I've got a vote for A and a vote for B. What do we think we should choose?
B, Baltimore.
Tell me
B.
when you like that one.
On my
Okay.
side, B.
Okay. Let's test it. Okay, so this one is a tester role. You know, it's like as we are working through the development, the tester is saying, does this, I'm testing it to be sure it functions within acceptable parameters. This one is a tricky question because we start talking about financial analysis and it's like, wait a minute, the domain SME doesn't do that. But remember, a domain SME can be a SME in any area. And in this one, because we were able to eliminate these three, this one is the domain SME is doing financial analysis. A financial analyst is a SME, a sewage treatment plant technician is a SME. You know, as long as they have experience in something deeply, they're a SME. Does it make sense why this is the best answer now?
Yes.
You will learn every bit of this. Liz conducted focus groups with dissatisfied customers to identify the root causes of declining customer satisfaction scores. She researched cost-effective solutions. She performed a detailed cost-benefit analysis for each option, and she presented a recommendation to the Director of Support Services with a business case. Liz was incredibly proud of her work. The director and other key stakeholders were not impressed and deferred her recommendation. Deferred means we're not making a decision now. We're putting it off. What is the most likely reason for the lack of support for Liz's recommendation? Liz conducted her work on her own and failed to collaborate with stakeholders. The director didn't support the financial assumptions in the analysis, so had little faith in the overall cost-benefit analysis. Liz presented her work to a key stakeholder versus the decision maker, sponsor. We don't know who the sponsor is. We just know she presented it to this person. Liz failed to use the multiple elicitation techniques, so decision makers were hesitant to believe the identified root causes. What can we eliminate?
Eliminate B for Baltimore and C for Canada.
Why?
We don't have any information about who is the sponsor, and we also don't have any information about the financial assumptions.
Okay. Gabrielle, what do you think?
Should be B.
Focus groups.
Do you think B is the correct answer? Or what we should eliminate?
Mm, we should eliminate the C.
Okay, so you feel like B is the correct answer?
Um,
I'm going to tell you right now, this question is not one of my favorites.
The
Okay.
D is the favorite.
D is your favorite?
Yes.
Okay. Jose, what do you think? What is the best answer?
Yeah, I would go with B, but at the same time, the way this question is being made, it's not that much clear.
I agree. Let's test D. Okay, so the scenario suggests that there's a bigger issue, right? Liz conducted this work all on her own. So first of all, I don't like this question. She did all of this work, but she failed to collaborate with stakeholders. She conducted focus groups with dissatisfied customers, and then she went in and did all the rest of it on her own. And that's one reason everyone is like, nah, I don't think you brought in the right people she didn't confer with SMEs. She just talked to some dissatisfied customers and then went on. It says the theme of collaboration to promote and ensure buy-in is prevalent throughout strategy analysis, but it's introduced in the BACCM for this chapter. So they just want you to be sure that you understand that collaboration to get buy-in, collaboration, maybe not even to get information, but to get people to go, oh yeah, I see what you're doing. And so they can get behind the project is a really important tactic and to get people to align with your way of thinking, your reasoning, and support your project. That's the whole reason they put this question in, but I don't appreciate it. Let's see. I'm just gonna leave it the way it was. Okay, so let's go on. I think we can get to 20 today. What is the purpose of considering organizational culture while performing strategy analysis tasks? So this is all the tasks in the knowledge area. We're going to consider organizational culture. Is it because it will provide a process-centric view of the organization as input to a gap analysis between the current and desired future state? Because shared beliefs drive actions taken by an organization? To identify if cultural changes are required to achieve future goals? Or because it will provide a capability-centric view of the organization as input to gap analysis between current and future state? What can we eliminate, guys?
I would say the C.
We're going to eliminate C or you choose C?
Choose.
Choose C, okay. Jose, what do you think?
Choose B for Baltimore or C for Canada.
Okay, choose one of those. And Amarachi, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll go with C.
I think C.
Okay, let's check it. And you're correct. These are one of the three purposes defined in the BABOK. So as we are looking at current state, we're looking at what are our capabilities and what is the culture, so that we can, that way, whenever we go to future state, we can identify a realistic future state based upon what our capabilities are. Katie is studying an enterprise's current key metrics and performance indicators. So, got to be knowing what that is. IT systems, organizational charts, business architecture, and policies. What sort of initiative is Katie most likely working on? So, look at all the things that she's looking at and think about different kinds of projects that she might be on and what is included. So, is she looking at an organizational change initiative? There's not enough information in the scenario to infer what type of project Katie is working on. A system integration initiative or a process improvement initiative. Which one can we eliminate?
A process improvement initiative seems to be the correct one.
Okay. Why do you like process improvement over organizational change or system integration?
Because of the key metrics and performance indicators.
Okay. Jose, what do you think?
I will also go with the process improvement. If we didn't add the KPIs, I could also go with the organizational change.
Okay. Amarachi, what do you think?
This is a tricky one. It's really a tricky one for me, and I'm not so sure, to be honest, at this point, because this looks like an organizational change, because it's going and it's looking into like every aspect of it, the key metrics and performance indicators, the system, the organization charts, business architecture policies, and all of those things. So I don't know. Probably A. It's either
Okay.
A or B. So I don't know. Let me just see what others have and we can go with it.
Okay. Let's test the one that the others chose. And you're correct. The listed inputs are needed for a process-centric view for an organization, which is necessary for process improvements. I want to see why it's not C. Current technology and infrastructure would also be important. So even though it said IT systems, it's talking about the rest of that would be needed. Y'all did great. Let's get one more in. How would utilizing decision analysis in the development of a business case prove beneficial? So decision analysis is the technique we're talking about, and we're talking about for development of a business case. The decision models would prevent the team from having to recreate the wheel, comparing the cost of implementing a solution against the benefits to be gained given identified risks. Assists in estimating cost projections for the technology and new processes required to support the new solution, or used to assess potential risks that may impact the solution and the costs and benefits associated with it. Which one would we be using decision analysis for a business case? What do you think of A? Is this a keep or or eliminate?
Eliminate.
Okay. What do you think about B?
Yes, I believe it's either B for Baltimore or D for Denmark.
Okay. We'll got votes for B and D. Gabrielle, Amarachi, what do y'all think?
Seems to be.
Okay. Amarachi? I think Amarachi's having bandwidth problems. We're going to test D. Okay. So the correct answer is compares the cost of implementing a solution against the benefits to be gained by the identified risks. So this says decision analysis doesn't directly address risks. So this is considering risk, but it's not addressing the risks. If you didn't get this correct, go check it out in the techniques chapter in section 16. Okay, let's submit this exam knowing that we didn't answer 5 of the questions. So we got 13 out of 20 right. We're still at about a 68, 72%, something around there. Do y'all want to stay on?
Are we much more worse than the last one?
Well, no. Remember, we only answered 20 of the questions, not 25. So actually, we made a better score than the last one. Do y'all want to stay on this chapter another week, or do you want to move on into chapter 7? Or do you want to do a 3, 4, 5, and 6 combo?
Yeah, probably.
The
Combined
3, 4,
with
5, and
the
6?
yes.
I think also the 6 would be good if we make another session on this.
Okay.
But
Okay,
yeah.
so let's stay on just chapter 6 for one more week.
6, yeah.
I'm good with that, and I see their logic behind it. I'd like to stay on chapter 6 next week. The following week, let's do a 3, 4, 5, and 6, just to remind us of a little taste of the other chapters also. And then I want to get us into chapter 7. The reason I want to get us into chapter 7 is because chapter 7 is going to be 30% of the questions on your test. So we're going to probably spend the most time there. And I want to be sure that you have a good amount of time in that chapter and that you are prepared for it before we even start. So study chapter 6. Don't lose what you've already learned. And then we'll move into chapter 7 and get chapter 7 done. Chapter 8 is really chapter 8 is really chapter 6 again, but it's after some part of the solution is in place. So 8 is not so hard, but because it's kind of repeating it with different terms, it's a little confusing. That's one reason chapter 6, 7, and 8 are the hardest ones in the whole book. I realize that we're not making great scores right now. I'm not surprised. This is exactly what I was expecting. It's normal for a class to go through this. But that's one reason I told you before, these are part of the hardest chapters. So you just have to study harder for this time. We're getting close to the top of the mountain, and then you'll be able to take your test. Okay? I will drop that document that I was showing you at the beginning of the meeting into the Slack folder so that y'all have access to it. That's the difference between, let's see.
Requirements and designs.
Yes, requirements and designs. I think I've got it right. Think it's this one right here. So this is the comparison between requirements and design so that you can see the difference for yourself. And I think it's an important clarification, especially if you're getting those two confused. Okay, guys, I will see you next week. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, I will see you. Let me check the dates. Somebody else is going to be teaching you for the next 2 weeks because I'm going to take a vacation. And so I will be out of internet range. But you'll either have Kasi or maybe somebody else that drops in occasionally will help us. Or my vice president of training and professional development will be taking the class. They're all extremely skilled and extremely invested in this. So I have no doubt that you're going to be just fine. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn if you have any specific questions. That's the fastest way to reach out to me. Or you can drop something into Slack and I probably won't see it quite as fast. Okay? Okay, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Nice
Bye.
vacation.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. It's been a long time coming. Bye.
Bye.